Hi, this is Jill from Humu Yoga, and this is the chair yoga practice. This week, we're going to focus on the theme of healing. And it's really important to get in touch with our healing and really make every movement in this practice a healing and strengthening movement using the chair for support. So let's go ahead and get started finding a centering, and then I'll go through the healing quotes, and then we'll weave this into this chair practice today, where we're going to focus a little bit more on hamstrings and low back. They kind of go together. So we'll go ahead and get started. Just finding a nice lifted, supported seat in your chair. So notice, really feeling the ground from the feet rising up through your thighs into your hips, and then using your hands behind you to see if you can lift up. And you're going to get the lift now from inside. So feeling that sense of pelvic floor right where you're sitting, engage those muscles. We call that in yoga root mula bandha lock. So you find that engagement, and then above that, below the navel, draw the belly back. And together with the pelvic floor engaged and drawing the belly back, you feel a sense of lifting upward. And we call that one Uddiyana bandha. Uddiyana means flying upward. So now with both of those internal locks engaged, you can close your eyes maybe and just draw the chin down and just feel the energies and how they're sealed in. And then from there, maybe you're connected enough that you can let go of the hands and just let them rest on your thighs. Or maybe you want to keep the support of your hands. That's fine. And then we're just going to focus on the breath, the inhalations and the exhalations. And as you inhale, visualize how the rib cage expands, the diaphragm expands. It's such a great muscle, and it opens up the ribs. And then as you exhale, the diaphragm relaxes, and so do the ribs. And just stay connected into the breath, visualizing each breath. And then if it's possible, you can take your hands to prayer position by your heart and keep that lifted, that supported seat, lengthened spine, and we'll vibrate with the mantra Om, which is all the sounds of the universe. Taking a breath in. Om. Change happens through movement, and movement heals. Don't overlook your greatest healing tool, your intuition. I am not what has happened to me. I am what I choose to become. If you carry joy in your heart, you can heal any moment. As soon as healing takes place, go out and heal somebody else. Every breath and every step can be nourishing and healing. I've really had to listen to those quotes on healing, because I know even emotional healing and physical healing, we both can give us some perspective if we slow down and really listen to what's going on and find a way to accept that maybe it might bring a little bit of frustration, but then you can move out of it and maybe see things in a different way. So let's start to move the body in a very conscious way. So sit up as tall as you can, and then we're going to inhale, reach the arms up, move your body in a way that it's lengthening. Inhale and reach. It should feel really good and energizing here. Inhale, move with your breath, and exhale, just really exploring that. And one more big breath in. Inhale, taking it all in. Keep your left arm up. Take your right hand down and let the shoulders roll away from your ears as you lift up to take a side bend to the right. And then from here, make sure you're keeping your left sitting bone down and you're reaching with that left arm, shoulder away from your ear. Look down and really roll your right shoulder away from your ear as well. And just feel the length on this left side body. And now we'll take the gaze from down to maybe straight ahead. And then if it feels okay in your body, maybe you can gently, while keeping the head back, turn a little bit more up. And you're gazing down the nose, but still a little up. And then inhale, using your breath, rising up. We'll go to the other side, but first inhale. Reaching, getting the most out of every movement here, right? Reaching. And then a side bend to the left. So the shoulders are rolling away from the ears, and you're gently bending to the left. The left shoulder away from the ear, you can look down. And then make sure your right sitting bone is down. As you reach your right arm, you can look straight ahead. And then maybe you want to take the gaze up. It's down the nose, but up at the same time. And then inhale, lift up. And then from here, we're going to turn and we're going to face to the right. So we're going to come into a lunge. We're going to prepare for a warrior one. So the right butt is on the chair, and I'm trying my best to make a right angle at the front knee. And I'm going to bend the back leg to start because I want to get a stretch on the top of this left thigh. We call these the hip flexors, right? And they get real tight from sitting. So now it's doing the opposite. It's lengthening. And we support that. Start off by bending the knees by taking the butt under on this side. So really feeling that, and then pressing down through the right butt. And then from there, once you've established that, we can start to slowly see if you can, you might have to move your leg back, straighten the leg, bend it one more time. See if you can feel that place, and then straighten it as best you can. But at the same time, it's still working. And then from here, let's go ahead and reach that left arm up. Just lift way up, lift up. You can lift the sternum. And then from here, we're going to lift up and take another side bend. So draw your right shoulder away from your right ear and see how that feels. You can gaze straight ahead and then inhale, rise up. Now we're going to take it into more of what's a warrior one. So in warrior one, your back heel would come down. Now, if for some reason, everybody's hips are shaped differently. For some reason, this doesn't feel good in your knee, you could keep the heel up. But if it works, you can take the outer edge down. The hip's gonna open a little, but you still start to, you try to turn your hips forward as best you can by keeping that tail under. That's what the lunge showed us in the pose we did before, right? And then from here, keeping the right butt back, the tail is under, the ribs turn to face forward. Let's reach the left arm up. And if everything's feeling okay and you don't need to hold on with the right hand, you can take the right hand up too. And the shoulders are elevated, but they're rolling away from your ears. It might be accessible to have your hands together, but if the shoulders are tight, you could stay here. So let's just take it into this beautiful warrior one pose, getting the most out of the pose, really trying to understand the pose and how it's healing, lifting up, the tail is under, and then inhale, rise up. So now we're going to open into warrior two. So we take your time to adjust. The right butt is on the chair. I turned my back foot out a little bit more, and the front foot is turning out as well, making this right angle as best you can. So the knee is, you try not to have the knee forward of the ankle, but now I'm facing this way, right? So instead of turning, it's straight ahead, but the gaze goes down the fingertips, and I gaze, the drishti, it's called drishti in Sanskrit. It just means the gaze, and it takes you to an inner focus, is over the right fingertips. And I'm widening across the chest. It's a very strong pose, warrior two. And then from here, we're going to inhale, rise up, and we're going to change the feet and go to the other side. So finding that lunge pose first, because we're going to prepare for warrior one here with this back leg. So feel the tail under here. There's muscles under your butt. They connect to the pelvic floor, and they're really, you can push that hip a little forward when you engage them, and then see if you can straighten the leg, but keep that engaged, and then do it again, and then see if you can straighten the leg, really keeping that engaged. Just do the best you can. It doesn't have to be all the way straight. And then now we're going to reach the right arm up and feel that sense of lift here. This is really working, really stretching. And then from here, we're going to take a side bend. And when you do these stretches to the hip flexors, they really help with lengthening the low back. So if your hip flexors are tight, they pull on the low back. But if you get them really open, you can really release that, right? The hip flexors tend to get really tight when we sit a lot. So now let's go ahead and put the back foot down. So notice my hip did turn out a little. That's okay. I'm trying to turn my ribs forward as best I can. So again, if this hurts your knee, you can lift the heel. But this is more like the warrior one. It feels a little bit more grounded if you have your foot down, but either way is fine. Lift up, we're trying to get the most out of the pose. How is it healing? How is it healing in our bodies? Inhale, and then you can reach the other arm up, lifting up, keeping that tail under as best you can. Maybe the hands come together and here's your warrior one. And it should be an expression. Every pose, every asana. Inhale, exhale. I love playing around with getting the most out of every pose, out of every movement. Now we're gonna open into warrior two. So you can take your back foot, and mine comes from this position to turning out a little bit more, and turn the front foot out, trying your best to have this right angle as you reach the arms. And even though my body's facing this way, I'm turning this way. And I'm gazing and breathing, and I keep all the support of the bandhas. The bandhas give us these internal locks, which really engage our deep abdominals, our deepest layer. And let's come back. Transverse abdominis is like a built-in corset. It's really kind of cool. So let's take the feet to be in goddess pose, turned out, and establish that, sitting up really tall. And just pause for a moment. Opening, now try to open the knees. So to get the most out of this pose, you're really trying to open the hips, open the knees. And let's see what happens here. Can you lean a little forward? You can kind of stick the butt out a little to do that and come up a little. You could use your hands here. You could kind of stick the butt out and you start to feel how you use those glute muscles here. And then this time, see if you can come all the way up. And now I'm going to move my chair just so you get a better visual, but keep yours against a wall so it's nice and secure. And I'm just moving it here so you can see what's going on in my spine. And then from here, let's go ahead and find a distance that you can maybe take your feet, I don't know, chair width, whatever feels good in your body. Hip width, starting at hip width and then going out. It's a little easier if you go wider for stability. So you can bend the knees here, and we're just gonna come forward and find a place where you can have your hands on the back of the chair perhaps. You could even have your hands down here, but if your hamstrings are tight, you're probably gonna wanna be a little higher. And then we come to this place of a flat back. Now, maybe you're feeling the hamstrings already just by being here and trying to straighten your legs. If you wanted it to be more challenging, of course, you go lower. So just find what works in your body. And now we're gonna play around with this position a little bit. Notice what's going on in your spine. Let's bend the knees and tuck the tail under for a moment. So I'm trying to round my spine. This is kind of like that cat position that we're in on the floor. And then we're gonna kind of come into that more cow kind of position where you extend, and you don't have to overarch though. Let's just come to a neutral, and then we'll try that again. Curl under, you can bend the knees, and then try to straighten your legs as best you can, finding neutral spine, not letting the ribs go and not overarching, so it's just here. Try it again. You can bend the knees, curl under. This is a spine stretch, and then exhale. Try and find neutral. Now notice what's going on in your upper body. Are you in your neck, or can you draw your shoulders away from your ears and really get a nice stretch here? I'm feeling my hamstrings a lot now. I hope you are too, in a good way. And then inhale, we'll rise up. And see if you can, from here, take your hands on your waist and come all the way up. And then from here, we're gonna step. Well, before we do that, just take a moment. Let's take a moment. Where are we here standing? Can you feel nice and steady, or are you better holding on for now? Just notice. If you engage in your legs, you pull your belly in, the tail is under, everything's lifted. Can you be here for a moment? And just be in a healing place for you right now. And acknowledge that. And then we'll take the hands to the waist and we'll try to come to a flat spine now, a neutral spine. Pull the belly in and come forward. And then take your hands where you can, either the back of the chair or down. And we're going to step the right foot forward and the left foot back. So you can turn your back foot out. This is about a leg length. And then you're going to try and draw your right hip back. So you don't want this right hip to be forward at all and crunching in that right side. Really draw it back. And then do the best you can here to straighten your leg and try and straighten your spine. And if everything's feeling good, you could start to bend the elbows a little. But just go, again, where you feel in your body. This is a great hamstring stretch. Maybe you're up here. That's good too. I'm feeling a lot in that working leg. Now see if you can rise up. But if you needed to keep your hands on, that's okay. We can just switch sides. But if you rose up, let's go ahead and come down and you can switch sides. And we're here now with the left foot in front. So it's about a leg length. And then I'm really trying to draw that left hip back. Really trying to find that. And then just take it to where it feels good in your body, the nice hamstring stretch. So really contracting the front of the left leg to really stretch the back. And then I'm not in my neck. And I keep drawing that left butt back, pulling the belly in. And then inhale. See if you can rise up. Maybe you can take your hands and rise up. But if you needed to, you could step in here, right? So let's see if you can rise up. And if you did that, now we're going to step up. So I'm going to take my chair back and we're going to come back down to seated. So take your feet a little wide. Everybody's going to be different in their hips, how they feel. And we're just going to reach forward and kind of stick the butt out and just come up. And then on the next one, we'll try to come all the way down. Reach. You could take your hands behind, find that chair, and come back. And then from there, let's go ahead and take the feet about hip width, maybe a little wider, maybe chair width. And we're gonna just do a gentle, just roll down. So you're just gonna drop the hands, drop the head, and curl the spine down. And then from here, just take a breath in and exhale. And we're gonna curl, rounding the spine. But then I get to my pelvis and I start to stack it as I come all the way up to seated. So I'm not curled back, lifted. And then we'll try that again. Just drop the head, pull the belly in, round the spine, and then inhale here, and slowly rising. One more time, inhale, exhale, just drop the head, pull the belly in, round the spine, and slowly curling. You can use your legs, pull the belly in, and see how tall you can sit up. And then from here, let's get that nice glute stretch. So crossing the right ankle as best you can over the left knee. You can use your hands here, trying to open that knee. Inhale here. If you wanted to, you could lean forward if that was accessible for you. Otherwise, stay here. You just want to keep that low back engaged, right? You want to keep it lengthening. Engage from the front, pull the belly in. And then we'll switch sides. So crossing the left ankle over the right knee, sitting up tall. Take a breath in, exhale, trying to open that knee. Maybe it's accessible for you to come forward. And I'm just, whatever position you're in, trying to open the knee and trying to sit up really tall. And then release. Let's come into our twist. So we're not trying to twist the low back so much. It's more thoracic, right? It's more from the mid back up. So take a breath in here and try and sit up really tall. And then we're just gonna turn. So it's the ribs turning, the left ribs turning to the right, and the body stays lifted. Inhale here, lift up. And notice I haven't even taken my head yet. Exhale, I'm starting to turn the ribs. And now slowly I let my head just kind of come along for the ride. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, the head just will come along. And then inhale, let's come back to the center and we'll switch sides. So sitting up as tall as you can to start. Inhale and then exhale. And I'm not going to take my head yet. So drawing the shoulders down and wide. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, I'm turning the right ribs to the left. And then eventually my head comes along. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, finding that turn. And it's the thoracic. It's like here, up. The twisty part of the spine. This part is supporting. And then inhale, come back to the center. We're going to finish with a nice forward bend. So just take your legs out in front of you. And let's see where we are in this now that we've opened up the hamstrings and lengthened the low back a bit. So take a breath in and right on the edge of your seat, see if you can get a sense of that length in the low back. There's no rounding, it's lengthening. And just reach forward. And when you find that place where you're as far as you can, just let your head drop and breathe. And notice, can you find some release in this forward bend? I'm also trying to keep my legs straight, pressing through the big toe mound. Breathing. Forward bends are about surrender, whereas back bends are about energy. So it's nice when you can find that in your forward bend, that release, that letting go. And now let's just find a place. We do all of this so we can find this steady, happy seat where we can sit and meditate. And hopefully that was, you found a sense of healing and release. And stay here for a moment and just notice that. And then let's take this sense of healing, everything we do to come closer to that and let it resonate. Namaste.